Thank you. So I truly believe that you can actually get beyond your genes and that your DNA need not define your life. As you heard, I'm head of science, but what we have accomplished in South Africa is really a team effort. Dedicated staff, loyal volunteers, ably led by our chairman, James Cape. Next slide you have. So who am I? In my private life, I'm a mother, a wife, a grandmother, and I hope a good friend. You've gone too fast. In my professional life, I'm a retina advocate. I'm head of science. I'm a patient counselor. I'm a lecturer, an event organizer, and a full-time volunteer of some 40 years. In my healthy life, I'm a yoga teacher. I'm a meditator and a life coach. For fun, I am an artist and a traveler, at least I was pre-COVID. Next slide, please. So I'd like to introduce you to a little girl, a shy, timid little 5-year-old who could not play in the street at dusk with her friends because she could not see in the dark. But because dominant RP is multi-generational, I was surrounded by people with the same kind of vision I had or worse. In fact, if you look at the picture, 16 out of my close relatives there, 6 out of the 16, in fact, had dominant RP. Next slide, please. So my visual journey began actually at birth. I don't remember ever having been able to see in the dark. When I was older, poor contrast vision and slow adaptation times affected me in the classroom and forced me to pay attention in class, which was a good thing, and it definitely improved my memory. In my early 20s, the loss of peripheral vision started impacting my life more deeply, and I was forced to give up my beloved field hockey. I married in my, you're going too fast, I married in my late 20s, but actually only in my early 30s did my life change. Next slide, please. My 2 dear, darling little boys were diagnosed with my RP gene, and my life changed forever, and I became an RP warrior. Next slide, please. Both my boys inherited my RP. So I was bound to start and do something, and I started a journey, a lifelong journey with Retina South Africa, together with my younger brother, who also had RP, who was luckily a great businessman. We recruited strong people from parents and patients. We established Retina South Africa and all the trimmings that went with it, the legal registration. We had to establish a board. We had to look at finances, staff, and office, which all required money. So we had to do fundraising. And then we had to create awareness, because without awareness, you can't raise funds. And we did that with our media, our patients, and of course, our doctors. We had to learn about science. We had to cultivate clinicians and researchers. We established a SMAB. We had established a genetic research project at the University of Cape Town that's still ongoing. And I needed to develop my skills. I took counseling courses. And because there was no internet to learn from, I attended conferences and meetings and learned absolutely everything that I could about retinal degeneration. And I joined the Retina International Management Committee. Retina South Africa grew and prospered. And this year, due to our excellent in-house patient registry, we were actually able to establish our first ever clinical trial for Stargardt's disease. Next slide, please. So how do I cope personally? I have wonderful family and friends. I monitor my environment. I have a symbol cane, which not only helps me find steps in the dark, but also tells other people that I have a visual problem. Uber has been the most liberating thing for me because it's given me independence to travel. I always ask for help when I need it. And I always remember to thank the people adequately. When I travel abroad, I arrange for travel assistance if I'm traveling alone. I have a wonderful low vision therapist, and I use all the apps and devices I need to make my life easier. But the most important thing in my life is my husband, who is truly the wind beneath my wings. Next slide, please. So for some facts to know, because knowledge, I do believe, is power. What is your exact condition? Know its name. What is the inheritance pattern? What is the precise gene mutation? Because that will lead you to informed reproductive choices. You can identify at-risk family members. Know your vulnerabilities. Don't put yourself at risk. And talking about risk, know the risk factors for your particular condition. For example, if you've got Stargardt's or Cohen dystrophy, and you have an ABCA4 mutation, but even if you don't have a gene mutation and you suspect you may have, do not take supplements containing vitamin A. If you have Refsum's disease, of course, you've got to cut out dairy products. And Refsum's is also one of those underdiagnosed conditions. If you have been diagnosed with RP and you have a poor sense of smell, please get your phytanic acid levels checked, because if you cut out dairy, it really will stop the rate of degeneration. Next slide, please. So what do you need to do? You need to find a good ophthalmologist and a good low vision optometrist. Have regular eye checks. Because you've got RP or Stargardt's or AMD, it does not protect you from getting macular edema or glaucoma or cataracts. Visit your fighting blindness, IE, and if you have a gene result, please register with My Retina Tracker. It's an anonymous portal that allows researchers to connect to people with rare diseases. Please look at fightingblindness.org and Fighting Blindness retinainternational.org. They're both all very good sites where you can get good information. And most importantly, please support your retina organization like Retina Fighting Blindness Ireland, which is a magnificent patient support group. Next slide, please. Find your path. What is it that you want to do? If you're a young person and you're contemplating a career, or as you heard from Ian, maybe you've had to change your path. So if you find your passion, the rest will really follow you. And Ian was such a good example of that. Be realistic, but determined. Be patient. Perhaps you have not found it yet. I only found my path when I was in my 30s. But you will know when you're on the right path. It will feel right in your gut. Be flexible. Change direction if you have to. But don't be scared to take risks. You can only change yourself. Remember, you cannot change anybody else. And if you have power and skills, pay them forward, help others. Next slide, please. Make a plan and then stay the course. Find out, what do you have to do? Cultivate your passion. What skills do you need to learn? What are your strengths? What are your timelines? What are the barriers? What must you change? When you've done all the research and all the planning, then you perhaps just need to take that leap of faith. Next slide, please. And upskill yourself. You need to learn everything you can about your passion. You need computer skills. You need not to be scared of technology like the lady in the previous talk. Someone will help you. Learn about assistive programs, apps and devices. Do get mobility skills if you need them, and learn public speaking skills. I was petrified when I first started speaking in public. And learn money management skills, because financial independence is very important. Cultivate good mental health, and we'll get back to that. Patience, flexibility, tenacity, gratitude, compassion, a healthy lifestyle, and above all, a sense of humor. Learn to smile at yourself. Next slide, please. So what is a healthy lifestyle? Well, physical fitness equals really a happy life. I was really impressed to hear that there was a paper yesterday on the epigenome. With physical fitness, you can improve your epigenome, which actually influences your gene expression. Your immune system strengthens, your vision improves, the feel-good hormones make you feel good. Brain health and brain performance improves, probably due to the nitrous oxide increase in your blood vessels, and also the brain-derived neurotrophic factors. And get some stress management techniques like meditation, breathing, yoga, or Tai Chi. Please avoid smoking and excess use of alcohol. You might think it's a temporary stress reliever, but the long-term effects are so bad for you, so please avoid that. Next slide, please. So let's look at nutrition. 25% of your diet should be protein. Lean meats like chicken and fish are good, or legumes, nuts, beans, and quinoa. But if you use vegetable proteins, do remember to balance your essential amino acids. 50% of your diet should be fruit and vegetables, particularly green leafy vegetables, purple, red, and orange, a colorful diet. Remember your 5 a day. 25% should be starch, but they should be complex or unrefined carbohydrates. And your 10% only needs to be fat, poly or monounsaturated, no saturated or trans fats. They really are very bad for you. Good nutrition will improve the level of antioxidants in your and carotenoids, and we heard about the importance of the oxidative stress in one of the papers yesterday. And remember, the carotenoids like lutein and zeaxanthin that you find in green leafy vegetables will increase the level of your macular pigment in your macula, and that is very good because it gives you sunlight protection. Eye health improves, your liver function improves, and your gut microbiome improves. And I know there are a lot of papers that have been looking at gut microbiome and the link to AMD. Next slide, please. So what does your wheel of life look like? Well, that's my wheel of life. You know, you have only 168 hours of life per week. What you do with it is crucial. You should sleep 29%. Work should take up about 24%. So that's a 53% total. That leaves only 47% for your family, your friends, your home, your partner, your health, your community, your spirit, your relaxation, fun, and sport. Your wheel may differ. Not all parts may be equal, but do try to fill all those spokes, because if you lose one or two, your wheel still turns and your life remains in balance. Next slide, please. So we said that sleep is important. Please don't fool yourself and think you can get by with 4 or 5 hours of sleep. You can't. You need 6 to 8 hours a night. You know, we're all born with our complete complement of photoreceptors, and we've heard lately in the news that they really are getting to the point where they're going to be able to regrow photoreceptors from stem cells, but it's not there yet. But your photoreceptor discs renew while you're sleeping deep sleep between 11 and 3 o'clock. That's also the time when your brain cleanses itself. It literally washes out the toxins. Work with your circadian rhythm. Bring it gently back if it's way out. Try not to change it overnight. Change it gently. And it was also great to see that circadian rhythm actually was also addressed in the conference yesterday. Next slide, please. Cultivate perseverance and excellence. Research everything you need to know about your eye condition and about your passion. Become an expert in your field. And you might wonder why I've got a KFC bucket there. It's just to tell you that be prepared to fail. Colonel Sanders received 1,009 rejections before he was able to find someone to invest in his crazy idea of a fried chicken chain of stores. Be prepared to fail. But when you take the first step, the universe truly moves with you. Find a mentor or mentors. They will help and advise you. But in the end, trust your own intuition. Choose your friends wisely. You will need them your whole life. When you mess up, learn from the experience and then truly move on. But remember that you learn more from your failures than your successes. And when you do make a mistake, Forgive yourself. We're all human. But adversity makes you stronger. And the biggest threat is fear. Next slide, please. Fear is truly the greatest obstacle that we have. And we all experience fear. It's the most common neurological problem. It manifests as panic attacks, insomnia, anxiety, shortness of breath, stomach pains, headaches, poor immune system, and emotional or mental paralysis. We all face the same scary, unknown future. Choose to create your reality and fear honestly disappears. Confront your fear by holding yourself accountable for every moment, every thought, every action, and every reaction. And pushing through fear is less frightening than living with the terror of helplessness. You can learn to overcome fear, and it was great to hear the wonderful help that's being offered to the patients in Ireland by Peter O'Toole and his group, and you can find help. Next slide, please. Feel the fear and do it anyway. There's a photograph of me walking on fire. I know it sounds impossible, but believe me, I have done it. That was the scariest thing I ever had to confront, but also the most empowering. Once you have walked on those hot coals, you really have an altered mindset. So much so that when we swam with the magical pink blind dolphins in the river Amazon, the thought of caimans and piranhas never even entered my mind. So if you get the opportunity to walk on fire, I truly recommend it. Next slide, please. I was really amazed, horrified, in fact, to see the results of the IRD counts, the cost of illness study that RI and partners have just published, to study what is the true social economic cost of inherited retinal degeneration to the state and to the patient. The first study was done, of course, in Ireland and in the UK, but the new study focuses on America and Canada. The cost of inherited retinal degeneration in the USA is $31.7 billion US dollars, and in Canada, $1.6 billion. And the components of that, 66% of the costs are well-being, 13% loss of production, 2% healthcare, and 10% to informal carers. And mostly these costs are borne by the patients. Next slide, please. So let's look at well-being, or in fact the lack of it. The major issue that was identified by the patients interviewed were anxiety, depression, stress, and isolation. And some of those actually came out in Peter O'Toole's talk. Please do not ignore these debilitating problems. Seek help, and seek it early, not later. Next slide, please. So, are you going to be a victim or a victor? You can choose, and that's very liberating and also very scary, but it is your choice. Firstly, I suggest you totally resist being labeled by your condition. I have RP, I am not an RPer. I would like to introduce some patients who have chosen victory. Anoop, he is 30, he's a physiotherapist. He always wanted to be a doctor and was told he couldn't because of his vision. And despite opposition, he really did finish his course, and he's now a registered medical doctor. Anoop has Stargardt's disease. Alani is 21. She's a final year BCom student. She's a Paralympic swimmer, and her motto is now or never. Alani has Stargardt's disease. Josi is 31. He's a mining engineer, and he actually lost his job due to his vision. He went and got his MBA, and he's now an entrepreneur dedicated to help other people with sight loss achieve their dreams. He's a golfer and a father, and Josi has Cone-rod dystrophy. I don't know him, but Isaac Litsky from America is an amazing man. He's a lawyer and an author and a lecturer and an entrepreneur. He has RP, and please look for him on TED.com. Steve Wynn from America, I don't know either. I've seen him on TV, of course. He's a hotel and casino magnate, and he's a billionaire, and he has RP. And Gordon Gunn from America is the most amazing man I think I've ever met. He's a billionaire. He's co-founder of the Foundation Fighting Blindness in America, the first ever patient group. He has RP. And I would just like to say publicly how sad we all were to hear that his wife and partner Luli passed away this year. But there are many others. Christina Fasser, who's just retired as president of Retina International, your own Michael Griffiths and Avril Daly. They're all inspiring victors. Many people use the lack of vision as an excuse for lack of effort. You're not rich enough, educated enough, sighted enough, loved enough. I want to tell you today that you are enough. You can choose to be a moaner or a mover. You can be victim or victorious. The choice is truly yours. Next slide, please. And what about those two young boys who started me on this journey? Well, of course, they're grown men now. And what else did they inherit, or I hope learn, from my husband and I? Hopefully, tenacity, honesty, integrity, loyalty, courage, compassion, and most importantly, an ability to love unconditionally. Next slide, please. So this is Grant, my eldest son, and he went into graphic design, and that was a disastrous choice, everybody said, for a child with RP, but he's a very talented graphic designer. He's a co-founder of a very successful graphic design studio in Cape Town called Simpler. He's a devoted father to Brina, aged 8, and he's a wannabe surfer. So with RP, you do not see depth and contrast very well. So he has very good friends, and they call the waves for him, because with big wave surfing, you have to get the wave just at the right sweet spot, and they tell him when to paddle into the wave. And this picture, for those who can't see, is Grant coming out of a 20-foot barrel that he caught in the Maldives last year. And Grant, as you know, has RP. Next slide, please. And Craig, my youngest, he has an honors degree in BCom marketing. He's national sales manager of an IT corporate. He enjoys warrior games, running, cycling, swimming, anything that's bold and fast. He is totally charming and a natural leader, and I'm sure you see that in his face. He's a devoted husband and a father to Kayla of 9, and Craig has RP. So the next slide, please. I want to tell you about the power of genetics. As you know, both of my sons inherited my RP13 gene. They are devoted fathers, so I'm the proud grandmother of 2 delightful little girls. We knew which gene we had, it's RP13. So luckily we were able to test them at a very young age. And next slide, please. The good news is that neither Kayla or Brina have inherited the RP13 mutation. Next slide, please. And so finally, I want to leave you with just a few things. Embrace your potential. Don't be scared to achieve. My dad, who had RP, said, dream big, but my mom said, hard work makes dreams come true. Overcome your perceived limitations. Practice compassion and really start with yourself. Always be totally honest with yourself. Choose your reality. Make mindfulness your default mode. And remember, that in the words of Winnie the Pooh, you are braver than you believe, you are stronger than you seem, and you are smarter than you think. Thank you very much.